Hello and welcome to another one of those videos where I take a look at all of the things being talked about by the Tinto Talks team over on the forums, and we yap about them. It's the Tinto yaps, if you will. Now, just before we get started, first of all, if you want to hit the subscribe button, that helps me out a hell of a lot, and you get to stay informed because you get notifications on my videos coming up, and I keep you informed. This is a win-win. It's all good. Secondly, if I sound a little bit weird during this video, I apologize. I slipped in the ice yesterday, and I bit my tongue pretty bad, so apologies. I don't know if it's going to sound very different, but I haven't done a whole lot of talking in the past day or so, and I don't know how this is going to affect it. But anyway, all the further ado's out of the way, let us get into the standard start of a Tinto Yaps video. Let's have a look at the Saturday building. And this time, because we missed last week, we are getting 3 buildings instead. So first of all, we have the Perfumery, Age of Absolutism building that can be used to support the needs of the Pops. Requires liquor and spices and turns it into incense. And now we have, of course, full knowledge on what every single one of these goods are, their prices, etc., because of the Tinto Talks that came out on Wednesday. So very, very fantastic news there. Moving on, we have the Age of Traditions building. The burghers may invest into it purely to benefit themselves, and they give you a little bit of trade advantage as well. The Guild Hall. Obviously, because there's no production method, because there's no building cost, this is a building that clearly the burghers will build themselves. Whether you want them to or not, I mean, the trade advantage seems like a good modifier, but I don't know, for 0.05 it seems a little bit low. But yeah, burghers power plus 100% is quite a bit. And then finally, we have the Grand Shipyard. It's an important building in the Age of Absolutism. That is the 4th version of the shipbuilding chain. Lots of nice bonuses and provides lots of sailors, but most importantly, it allows you to build 8 ships at the same time in its location. I have a feeling that navies are going to be much larger in Project Caesar than they are in EU4. Purely because of this, kind of, building more ships at the same time was never really something. I mean, it was something that I wished I could do in certain scenarios in EU4, but it was never a massive deal, right? It never killed a game that I couldn't build more than one ship at the same time. But yeah, no, this is certainly an interesting one. It requires tar, naval goods, metal goods, or metalworking, I think it is, and then lumber as well as the production method. And yeah, the one level after this is the naval base, which is cool. Requires masonry, naval supplies, tools. Okay, this is tools, not metalworking, my bad. And then lumber as well to build it. Very cool. Got some harbour capacity in there, build ships, 8 of them at the same time, some sailors, and distance cost to capital through port, I think, is going to be the big thing. I think distance cost to capital and all of this control systems are going to be the most impactful modifiers that you want to be stacking in this game, in my opinion. There's no developer commentary. Let me just refresh. Nope, still none. So yeah, good buildings. Good buildings. Moving on now, we have a couple of posts that I missed. They were kind of small ones, so I didn't make videos. Also, I was a little bit busy with Christmas stuff at the time. So first off, we have the Tinto map extra of the South Atlantic, which is, there's not a whole lot here. There's a few islands, a few uninhabited islands, essentially. Sent to the South Atlantic, starting without further ado. Yeah, there's, I can't remember what this one's called, and there's St. Helena, then, and South Sandwich Island, I think that one's South Georgia, then obviously the Falklands. I don't remember what those islands are called, but there's not a lot. In the first map, you can notice the 2 South Atlantic main currents, 2 groups of islands, Ascension Island and St. Helena, and then Tristan da Cunha and Gough Island. While on the second, you can see the Falklands. Don't need this, that's stupid. And South Georgia Island. One note, we decided to use the Falklands as it is the correct name for the islands. That's it. You can also see the Strait of Magellan in a bit more detail going around here. I think that's the Strait of Magellan. It's like here-ish, right? Because Magellan's Journey, or is this the Strait Magellan going through here? I actually don't know. But yeah, I think the most important thing to notice here is the naval currents, and there's been a little bit of talk, and I agree with this because these are one way, right? There's a left and a right path. It would be nice if all of these like sea zones, instead of having a perpendicular split, would just have a slight arrow as the way that it's, you know, traversable, because that's the way it happens, right? You go this way, you don't go back along it. So I think that could very easily be a good representation of the currents as well. I don't know if it's like one goes this way and then the other go this way and then that one go this way and the other go this way. I actually don't know. I would imagine a sea current would probably be all of these, but I don't know. Anyway, yeah, this is the most useful map of all time. This looks like some abstract art looking thing. Very, I mean, fun, sure. And then in the south we have West Falkland and East Falkland are individual islands. Then Georgia Isle over on the other side. And this is the map border. I did see some people saying that this is just conveniently placed fog, so that, you know, because Paradox is going to introduce Antarctica. No, that's silly. That's not happening. And then we have the climate map. We've got tropical, we've got oceanic, subtropical. I mean, no, we've just got tropical and oceanic because we're only looking at the water right now, for sure. And Arctic in the very south. Although I did see commentary as well about the Falkland Islands. That basically all of the settlements there are basically they've very specifically chosen areas in the Falkland Islands that are not Arctic. So there is obviously space on those islands for a more continental kind of climate, in valleys and such. So maybe it shouldn't be Arctic terrain. I don't know. And it's a bit cold, close to the fog. That's fair, true. And then we have obviously deep ocean here, impassable oceans, etc., etc. And then coastal ocean probably. Yes, coastal ocean is the terrain of the water. Some topography and vegetation not showing the small islands. They're all hills plus grasslands. That's fair enough. And then the islands are important because their geographical situation, not because of having good natural harbours, although they're open to review. I guess I feel like the Falklands should have some kind of natural harbour. Admittedly, my knowledge on it is not massively extensive. I do actually have family that come from the Falkland Islands. So yeah, I don't know. Yeah, now just some more very useful maps that we like. I don't know what I'm looking at here. 2 islands and the water between them. Sure. Very useful maps. Anyway, as for the trade goods, oh, that's what we're trying to see. I guess that's fish, and that might be wild game. Fair enough. But yeah, fish on the Falklands and Georgia as well. That's all for today. Then there's going to be another Tinto Maps Extra, which we will go over as well, of the Pacific Ocean. So what is the fog? Is it just the map edge, or is it how Terra Incognita looks like? It is just the map edge, so there are not any penguin societies of pops. This is very sad indeed. And what's this? He's talking about a extra sea lane here next to Brazil. Use an additional sea lane to make it faster to reach southern Brazil from there. They may potentially make it more connected with Tristan da Cunha, as those currents and winds were also used to reach southern Africa. The tiny island still within the 100 pixel lower bound mentioned in previous Tinto talks as a lower bound, but lowered a bit. A bunch of them need to be reviewed and fixed. So maybe we're going to lose some of those islands. Who knows? Probably not, I would imagine. And then, again, talking about the fog on the edge of the map. So yeah, that is the Pacific. Again, there's not a whole lot there. There really isn't. There's like 6 islands. 6 island groups, I guess. Sure. Love that. On to, however, the Pacific Ocean, which has a markedly increased amount of islands in it compared to the Atlantic. Happy New Year, because this one was posted yesterday. Already welcome 2025 with the Tinto Talks about natural resource in the past Wednesday, so today they'll do more maps, and it won't be the only one. On Monday, the 6th of January, there'll be a special Tinto Maps gift, so that's in a couple of days now, to celebrate the Three Wise Men, a popular tradition in Spain, and ending the Tinto Maps series. I think it's going to be a full map, like huge full map, in full resolution, which is balls. I've completely forgotten what the actual full resolution of the map is. Hang on. The best way to check that is to go to my YouTube channel and look at my short, because I've forgotten, and this is the fastest way that I can find it. Where is the whole map? Where is the map? Where's the map? True scale. Here we go. We all know. Shush me. It was in the thumbnail. 163084 by 8192. This is the size of the full map. So I reckon that is what we're going to be getting on I guess Monday. Is it Monday? Yes, Monday the 6th of January. We're gonna get a full map, 1600 pixels wide, is my guess. But if you have a different guess, leave it in the comments below. So, yes, that'll be the end of the Tinto Map series, except for the feedback posts, and then we continue doing those in the next few months. So, the entire Pacific, including Terrain Test Island, which is, the cutest of islands indeed. We can also see the sea lanes here, including the ones going to Hawaii. Very cool. So, what's new in the maps? A few things. You can see all of the sea lanes connecting the Pacific in the west-east direction, which are mainly 6, plus the coastal route through the Aleutian Islands. Of these 6, the 1st, 3rd, and 6th run from west to east, while the 2nd, 4th, and 5th run from east to west. Again, have little arrows, right? Let me just do this, right? Instead of these being, straight up and downs, instead make them look like this. Make them look like this. And like this. Yeah, make that be what the province borders look like. Yeah? The sea provinces, I guess. Have these as arrows, just to show the direction. I don't know if these are the ones that are being mentioned, but in any case, that would be my suggestion to make it a lot more readable. So yeah, the 1st, 3rd, and 6th run. Was that the 1st, 3rd, and I don't know, because there's 4, and then there's up to 7, 8, 9. So there's 12 of the 6. I don't know which. So is this 1, and then this is 2, 3, 4, and there's another one. I don't know. Is that what we're looking at here? Is all of these 4 go in one direction? All of these 3 go in that direction? All of these go in... Is that what we're looking at here? I don't know. Again, give me some arrows. Give me some arrows so I can know what the hell you're talking about. The Galapagos Islands are also on the map, which is very cool. And then Rapa Nui, Easter Island, and the Juan Fernandez Islands appear on the map. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know where those are. I'm not gonna lie. I don't know where those are. The topography map makes it a bit easier to understand. I mean, it doesn't, but sure. Actually, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, so there's 6. So 1st, 3rd, and 6th run from west to east. So now west is are we talking about the global west and the global east, or are we talking about from west to east being this is west running eastwards? Like, again, it's not very thing. Anyway, 1st, 3rd, and 6th run west to east. So 1st, 3rd, and 6th, and then I guess the other 2 are okay. All right, yeah. Give me arrows. Give me arrows. A fun bug was spotted and reported while taking that screenshot. The fact that this island still here? I mean, look, how am I going to colonize it if I don't get sea lanes over here? So here are the Galapagos Islands, which is very, very cool. This is split into 2 islands, Isabela and Santiago Islands. Very, very cool. Actually, no, 3 locations. Santa Cruz Islands is, I think, probably going to be snapped because they're too small to even have a name. But maybe not. Juan Fernandez Islands is only 1 location, thus the weird C-zone design. But it looks kind of cool. It's something they want to review. And then there's Rapa Nui Island. Raw materials, fish in the Galapagos Islands. Fair enough. Fish there as well. And also, again, more fish. Rapa Nui, a couple more maps of that. 599 pops, which is very cool. And that's all for that day as well. Finished for the schedule for next week. 6th is Special Tinto Maps. Tuesday, we're getting the feedback for Maghreb. The 8th is the Tinto Talks. And then 10th, we're getting the first Tinto flavor. Look. Blessed be the spelling of flavor. Correct spelling of flavor. Beautiful. A few countries here. Sorry, not countries. Comments. Are we willing to say what country it is for Tinto flavor? Nope. They're not. How are they supposed to colonize Terra and Test Island if we don't have sea lanes? Secret feature that will be revealed on April the 1st. I mean, they could have done, you know, February the 29th would also have been valid. How many countries are Tinto flavor scheduled for? I guess all of them, maybe until release. Since sea lanes are One Direction, they should have arrow-shaped tiles. Yes. Yes, Matfer. Yes. Do this. Close-ups of the French Polynesian islands. There you go. That's what they look like. Will there be a separate post for the rest of the Pacific Islands? It was already done. Can we write it as directly as Tinto flavor? Yes, Capitano Diego Alatristi. I agree. No natural harbor map, so here we have some natural harbor mappage going on. If there are more valid natural harbors, then please do let the devs know if you know of any, because then they will add them. Remember one of the devs said there was an unfinished part of Africa. It'll happen in Tinto Maps feedback for West Africa. And then just, yeah, a bunch of other stuff. But now we get on to the meat of today's video, which, of course, is going to be looking at the responses to the goods discussions. And essentially, there's a lot of discussion about whether spices should be a single good or split into multiple goods. I'm still on the side, I apologize, Johan, of multiple goods. I just am. Yeah, this is something that Johan responds to quite a bit in what we're going to be talking about. So, but before we go on to that, first of all, medicaments. Medicaments are important, of course. But opium is part of medicaments. Who would ever have known? Who would ever have known? I thought I was just being fun, but in fact, I was simping for opioids, which is obviously not fun, not fair. But no, I'm joking. Yeah, no, medicaments are probably a stand-in for opium, but I think there's probably going to be more to it than just opium, because they're kind of everywhere, and I don't think opioids or opium plants, poppy plants, are able to be grown in all of the places that they've been shown. Maybe I'm wrong. It's strange to have such a low base price for opium. Is it? I don't know. Let the devs discuss that one, I guess. Are trade goods immortal, or do they change over time or affected by something? Like, can I genocide the world of horses? That's certainly a sentence, a question. In theory, yes, if you control all the locations producing horses and remove all of the horse farm buildings. Apparently, yes, you can genocide the world of horses. Do trade goods change over time in places where it historically did happen? In some places, yes. Okay, good to know. Are mines connected to an infinite dimension of their resource, or can they collapse for good and spawn in a different trade good? They're looking into mine depletions, but in most previous games they've made, it tends to be very annoying for the player or extremely gamey. Yes, I agree. Gold mines depleting in EU4 kind of sucked. Was not fun. The ability to develop your provinces in EU4 kind of made it so that you had to have that to prevent it from becoming gamey, but the lack of that problem in EU5. It seems like it might not necessitate a depletion mechanic. I don't know. Who knows? Why not include honey? They had to cut resources at one point. That's why there's no beeswax, honey, or obsidian or such. Plus, if you add honey, then you're gonna have to add beeswax. If you add beeswax, you're gonna have to add candles. So honey is a whole chain. But people don't like that. People don't like that. There's a few comments in here that have quite negative reactions, and like I said, we're going to get onto those. Should be some kind of wood and fine wood production goods to represent furniture production, like Vicky. Maybe, yeah. I mean, it could just leave it to the almost inevitable day one mod. You know, Europa Victorialis, or whatever it's going to be called, where, you know, a Vicky game is coded into Project Caesar with, you know, more success than the Victoria 3 game, I would assume. But yeah, no, I mean, there's going to be a lot of suggestions for new goods. You know, fine wood. I mean, we have that in EU4, right? There's exotic wood. It's not fine wood. Exotic wood kind of counts as the same thing. So losing goods from EU4 to EU5 would be a little bit strange. Can we hope to see additions to the amount and variety of manufactured goods before launch? So doubtful anything major happens before release. However, it's something that 27 years of making grand strategy games for a living has taught him. It's like the design changes, and we can add to the games constantly. This is kind of what we're kind of hoping to see with spices. Not gonna lie, I still hope that he relents and adds multiple spices, because it is clearly what the community is wanting. Why do copper and iron have a transport cost of 2, but tin and lead have default transport cost? They shouldn't, so they will be made into the same. And also, you know what? Let me just go back up here. For some reason, when I made my video, I kind of skipped over this. Some resources require more trade capacity than others to move a resource between markets, unless specified transport cost is 1. I apologize. I definitely kind of skipped over that somehow, to the point where about half an hour after my video came out, I got a message from Johan basically reminding me of that fact. So apologies. I don't think I spent too much time wondering or questioning the lack of transport cost, but maybe I should have been a little bit more aware. I apologize. I have a feeling that paper and glass should cost 3 by default. Default price 2 looks a bit cheap if we compare it to other goods. So default price changes means a lot of rebalancing on input and output on many production methods and changing setup, etc. These have been balanced over a few years now. So that is certainly an interesting thing, especially when talking about adding new goods. So we can all say, yes, we want spices to be split into multiple different types. Then that also has to be balanced. Though I will say, Johan is also saying that having multiple different spices didn't have much of a game impact. So I guess maybe it doesn't need a lot of rebalancing. I don't know. Beautiful icons, I like them a lot. I still hope you reconsider adding more varieties of spices as well as API products like honey and such, though I guess I understand if they can't be added. So here we are. Johan saying, a variety of spices do not add anything, but a minor performance impact. Honey's a bit more interesting, but then you need to probably beeswax or candles as well, and it becomes an entire group of resources. Look, I think at the end of the day, my perspective is Europe having access to some spices in 1337 makes sense, but I don't know how you're going to model accurately the driving force that spices were on European colonialism in East Asia without representing the good that they were all pining for. I think if having a variety of spices didn't add anything, then you need to add something to model it, right? I think either mechanic-wise or desirability-wise or something needs to be added so that it does add something, right? It does add an element to the game. It does add, a driving force to Europeans to colonize, because that's historical, and we want, the most historically plausible game possible. What reason do the Europeans have to colonize the Spice Islands now? That we named whole fucking island chain after these things, if there's not actually, a unique good that they were going for. If a variety of spices don't add anything, I don't think they were implemented as well as they could be. I'm trying to be as diplomatic as possible here, because while I'm not unbiased, right? I am definitely a biased person. I am not going to try and hide that. I am very excited for this game, and I am, let's be honest, I am pro Paradox. But I am also my own person. I'm perfectly happy, to give critique where it needs to be, and I think this is one of the places that does need a critique, and I think that more spices are a thing that should be in the game. So there we go. If the in the absence of different good types, is there some other mechanism to represent the importance of different types of spices? Not really. I mean, these are goods that directly influenced world history. This answer really... Is this answer good enough? Not really. Just being honest. Is there any way to ensure that spices from farther away lands are worth important even when other varieties can be produced locally, or simply to keep the value of clothes from collapsing when someone is flooding the market with pepper? Not really. I mean, I don't know. That doesn't feel good enough to me. These spices were of vast importance to the history of this region and to Europe, and not representing that, I think, is a huge missed opportunity. I'm still for the inclusion of different spices. Me too. Me too. Definitely me too. Obsidian, honey, beeswax, etc. But on that looks great. Johan here saying he'd personally want another 100 plus goods, but you have to make some limits eventually. And I think it's like that silly vegan poster. It's like, all these animals in a lineup, and like, where do you draw the line? Well, Johan's drawing it here, and I would draw it here. Essentially. I ask mainly out of curiosity, why was it more important to separate amber and pearls from gems? Yeah. Especially if we go back to the top of the doodad. Especially when in the discussion for pearls... Sorry, in the description of gems, it's talking about pearls. And then pearls are a separate good. But apparently this is more important to separate than spices? The only real reason I could come up with would be that it would be misleading to have gems alongside the Prussian coast like in EU4, so I could... so got a renaming of the good to achieve the same, something like luxury materials, although that would probably be too long of a name. Well, spices was a problem, so it was merged. They've never had any let's merge amber and pearls talks yet. Maybe they will. But, what was the spices problem? I think it would be, minor performance impact. But is that not everything adding a performance impact? And why would that performance impact be larger than amber and pearls being separate? Is the performance impact because more countries are wanting these goods, potentially? I don't know. There is a difference between having a limit and fundamentally failing to depict trade, colonialism, and goods production because of a lack of goods like different spices. It's kind of harsh, but yeah. No one expects you to add 100 plus goods, just add some. Especially different spices like nutmeg, pepper, cloves, and saffron, in addition to what many expect to see, like honey, beeswax, and candles you could make from it. It's what, 6 new goods? Is that really something that the game can't handle? They had 6 plus spices. They got merged as the gameplay impact was 0 from them being different. Prices for them were similarly low in the Spice Islands, and most other places they were similarly high. I don't think 6 plus are necessary. I think like 3, maybe 4. You could have something called European spices, Asian spices, African spices, American spices. and then having them be more, desirable, or I mean, lower price in their own region and then a higher price in other regions. That just, I don't know, it makes sense to me. And there was another thread a while back about could spices be split up based on the type of spices they are? And I'm gonna admit, all spices come in a freaking plastic bottle for me, so I don't know how these things are grown. But something like root spices and then leaf spices and flower spices, something along those lines, that can also be a way of separating them. But right now, yeah, I don't know. I definitely feel like we need more spices. So you're saying they made a game based on a period of history in which competition over spices was the highest it's ever been, where sourcing said spices doesn't actually matter. Gotta say, I'm not liking the decision. And again, it's a harsh comment, but yeah. They all functioned exactly the same, so it was just different flavor. And had no major impact on gameplay. Well, it should have. Because these had major impacts on history, so they should have had a different impact on gameplay. If the spices that had a huge impact on history didn't have an impact on gameplay, I feel like they just weren't implemented correctly. And again, that's harsh to say, and I apologize for that, but I gotta be honest. I don't like it. I'm gonna be honest. It's going to be a dynamic way in which to show that certain locations were responsible for a disproportionately massive percentage of the output of certain resources during the period. Perhaps the use of location modifiers. Yes, some locations have unique modifiers for their output. Maybe this could be a way to model why there are so many more spices in the Spice Islands. But I don't really think quantity was the reason for the huge drive of colonialism. This is more useful for other places, like iron in Silesia maybe could have some of this kind of modifier. Coal in south east of England, something along those lines. Sure. Can't even imagine how you balance all of that. And didn't you have to make some serious price and output changes the last few months? As well, result of all the locations added and raw goods changes during the works of Tinto maps. So many times with the economical collapses due to the input shortages of X or Y. I'm gonna be it's kind of interesting here because this is what I'm thinking is happening with Victoria 2, and one of the big critiques of Victoria 2, usually by people who have not played Victoria 2, is that the economy is so complicated that if left alone, the game just collapses and China and the economy breaks. It's going to happen in 0.01% of games, so it's not actually that issue that people are complaining about. But certainly, you need to balance your economy such that that is not a high percentage of games where this happens. So, rebalancing. It's tough work. I love the icons. The art is really cool. Will there be a fasting event in Project Caesar? No, there will not. It is not an event, but an Age of Discovery advance that increases jewelry output by 10%. Very cool. More than one country can have faceting. Wild. Crazy thought, for sure. Do all gold and silver RGOs need mercury, or are they somehow graded for quality? There are buildings you can build in locations with gold and silver mines that require mercury that improves the silver-gold output dramatically. It's basically what I said in the video itself. Is armor spelled wrong? Included in weaponry or by having armored unit needs some other resources as well. So if having a unit of light cavalry needs 100 horses and 100 weaponry, does a unit of knights need 100 horses and 1,000 weaponry, or 100 horses, 100 weaponry, and iron or something else? So heavy cavalry needs more horses and other materials and also requires tools. I guess that is how they are modeling armor, which is fair enough. I expect this because they're using clay to portray things like pottery and bricks, but I agree pottery should be its own good, albeit an inexpensive one. So they use they use clay for pottery, and then bricks or masonry for masons, where you make other stone bricks, clay bricks, and those are the most important construction materials. So that is why there is a distinction between, clay and masonry, but not between clay and pottery. Can I also wage war on legumes? legumes. Actually, is it legume or legume? I have no idea. By replacing them with potatoes and maize, I wish to finally destroy my arch nemesis. Bro does not like the beans. In theory, but that's bad for you. Beans are such a good thing to eat. How can you have toast without baked beans? I mean, oh god, Johan, you're not even British, my guy. I don't know. I don't like beans on toast. I don't like baked beans. I just don't. I don't understand them. I am still British though, and you know the alternative to beans on toast would be spaghetti on toast, which I think the Italians would still be mortified by. But yeah, no, there's better things to have on toast than bloody beans, man. Go back to the medicaments thing. My apologies. And then here, the final comment that we have. One thing I'd like to address is the game should probably keep a consistency in naming. So resources, raw goods, raw materials. Okay with all of them as well as the RGO acronym, but the game should only use one name. If they want to stick with RGO, then they should probably be called resources because it's resource gathering operations, not raw goods and raw materials. Or if you use raw goods, then rename RGO to raw goods output, raw goods operations. Yes, I agree. I think definitely having a consistency in naming and not using all of these interchangeably is a good idea, and Johan here is also agreeing with that point. But anyway, that is all I have time for you today. I hope you enjoyed this video. You got some inclination of information and out of it. I hope it was informative. And yeah, I hope you enjoyed it. I will be back, of course, on Monday, I guess, when we've got the Tinto special favor thing coming out, the Tinto map, which I assume is going to be the whole map, which would be kind of cute. I'll be back then to show that off, if that is what we're getting. But until then, thank you very much for watching. Remember to subscribe if you haven't already. It really does help me out. I'm not going to set any subscriber goal for myself for this year, but we're currently on 2,700 and 27,700, something like that. I would love to get to 30,000. That would be cute. So if you'd help me out with that, I'd appreciate it. But yeah, thank you all very much for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Bye-bye.